Right, so here we are. So here we are for assignment 3. We're going to talk a little bit about managing resources. So the specific program I'm going to talk about here is the Finger Lakes Youth Apprenticeship Program that I've referenced throughout the entire course. It is a program that I was the co-creator of with a gentleman named Bob Coyne. I represented the Monroe Community College entity, and then he represented the Rochester Technology Manufacturing Association. Just real quick background on each of these organizations is Rochester Technology Manufacturing Association is a group sponsor program that helps advanced manufacturing companies all in the Finger Lakes region with a variety of benefits, political advocacy, grant funding, insurance, and things of that nature. Monroe Community College, we're part of the SUNY system, which is the State University of New York, and we're a non-for-profit school, and we partnered together to create the Finger Lakes Youth Apprenticeship Program to help address the skills gap in the Finger Lakes region. With that being said, the youth apprenticeship model is a formal model that includes industry, high school, post-secondary, and in between that would be the intermediary, the triangle piece there on the model that you see here. And Rochester, the RTMA and MCC for short, partnered together to create this program to launch it. So our current and our future stakeholders include the following here. SUNY Apprenticeship Program. So this Finger Lakes Youth Apprenticeship Programs has a strong partnership in the Rochester region, Finger Lakes region too, 9-county region, with a lot of different advanced manufacturing companies, whether they're providing CNC training, welding, mechatronics, whatever it may be. There's a lot of advanced manufacturing companies that are actually partners with the Finger Lakes Youth Apprenticeship Program. As you can see, there's some pretty big ones in there with Kodak, and then also too, we have RG&E, and then the Ralph C. Wilson Foundation believed in our concept, so they pushed a lot of money into our program. All right, so for future or potential stakeholders, what do we need to be mindful of with resource management? All right, so first and foremost, we need to do a needs assessment. So the initial survey, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later here, but to get right to the point is we need to see what it is that companies and our stakeholders need first and foremost. All right, so again, the Youth Apprenticeship Program is a program where high school students link with a company in the Rochester region, and they actually work for them. They gain college credit, they get paid, and they gain mentorship. That's a formalized agreement between the company through the RTMA, MCC, and the school that they are in, which is a high school, and they are gaining college credit in the same time. With that being said, after doing a needs assessment of, hey, what can we do to be better, we sought out feedback from all of our stakeholders. And obviously coming to the forefront was quality candidates from the employers. Transportation was an issue from our schools. Also, one of the things that was always a concern was the insurance issue of having folks that are under 18 working out on the shop floor or with different types of equipment. Some of the secondary items that came up that we said, okay, I think we can address these are tools and toolkits that students may or may not need when they are working on the job. Wages, can there be some offsetting wages, especially for people that are mentoring some of these students that are coming out of the CTE programs. And then also the mentorship training program. Some of the mentors need some formalized training on how to properly teach. And then on top of that, we need to pay them for their time. So that was kind of the secondary concerns, but these were the 3 top priority areas that we wanted to address moving forward with some resource management, and kind of look to some other organizations that might potentially help us address some of these concerns. With that being said, what we need to do is go off the data. The vetting process, looking for quality candidates, obviously we want qualitative and quantitative, and that was kind of the survey metric that we used, is some focus groups and things of that nature. Hahn and Boulay realized that self assessment is really beneficial for organizations and learners themselves. So we'll embed that into the vetting process itself for all stakeholders at each corner of those triangles, whether it's the company, the college, or the student. So that's going to help us there. Transportation, that was an issue. So we sought out a couple different avenues to help our students. Uber and Lyft, we were able to secure some gift cards to help with some of those students that had issues getting to different locations throughout the Finger Lakes region. And then also we have a handful of students that live directly in the city of Rochester, so we were trying to get companies that were right on the bus line, and a lot of those companies working through Monroe Community College, we were able to access free bus passes for all of our students, and that includes our dual enrollment students. So this was a great resource for our students to access that didn't have transportation, to allow them to participate in the youth apprenticeship program. I talked a little bit earlier about the insurance waiver forms, and thanks to the RTMA, they were able to work with Brown & Brown Insurance just to secure a secondary level of insurance, even though that the school does cover liability for students working on the manufacturing floor. This was another safety blanket for our employers to feel much safer with younger folks working out on the floor. And the younger folks that work out on the floor, they're trained too. They're not just green students that are walking out and working on equipment. They have to have skills before they even enter into this program. So going to our secondary areas, some of the concerns were some of the tools and so forth, and then maybe some of the offsetting wages. Luckily enough, we were able to get some apprenticeship training grant funding for toolkits for students that were going out into the youth apprenticeship program, or they called it the pre-apprenticeship program. And so we were able to help some students get some calipers, some micrometers, and necessary measurement tools to make them successful while they go out and work in an authentic environment. Furthermore, working with the NICAN grant, that is a federal grant, but it's come to New York State, and it's partnered with SUNY Apprenticeship Program. There are some offsetting wages for journey workers. And a journey worker is a mentor that really looks over journeymen, or in this particular case, our youth apprentices. So we're able to offset up to $15,000 per year if they were, training individuals in this youth apprenticeship program. So again, looking at a lot of different funding sources was very helpful, and working together with the RTMA really made our jobs a lot easier in making this program a big lift and really impacting our community. All right, so what's the approach? Well, it's a wraparound approach. I always like to go back to, we need to help the students first. Working in education, that's who we serve. But first and foremost, we do know that this is a community program. So there's employers, companies, industry, different industry sectors that we serve. So we want to be mindful of them too and help them, because again, they're helping us at the community college level, sending enrollment and so forth, but we're training them too. So again, it's a true partnership. So I go back to collaboration. You got to be data driven, as we had mentioned earlier. Some of the college services that we have, we can have wraparound services, whether it's veteran outreach or counseling. I did mention earlier the bus passes, and that was something that we were able to get college credit to through the SUNY apprenticeship grant. The youth apprentices were able to get up to, I believe, $500 in offsetting dual enrollment, and then we had another grant pick up the remaining of it. So this high school program, this Finger Lakes Youth Apprenticeship Program, we have students that can walk away when they graduate high school earning up to probably 300-400 different hours of on-the-job training, but also 15 college credits. So that really kind of helps them fast track into a registered apprenticeship program in New York State. Or if they want to go onto the college route, that pathway, they can do that as well. So there's a variety of pathways that students can go in this direction. That's kind of why we built this program too, is we know that college is not for all, but we do know that college has its advantage in a lot of different arenas. So we thought of that too as well. All right, so how do you make sure that you are doing what you're supposed to with your organization and the partnerships that we had talked about today? Well, as a coach, I always like to reflect and say, hey, how can we be better? All right, so it takes continuous monitoring of the program itself. All right, obviously looking at the growth of the program, you need to understand what your resources are, what you're staffing. So if we had, let's say, 200, students participate in this particular program, do we have enough staff that can really, run a quality program? So those are the things that we need to look at too and assess as we go through, annually, and that's something that the program does. Resources, we continuously monitor and look at different avenues for growth in different resources. Technology is a big one. We know that registered apprenticeships, there's a high demand on, tracking their time and their related instruction, which is their schooling. And then also access to, populations, select populations. Our second year of the program, we wanted to increase diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we had some measurable goals in order to do that, and I explained that in assignment 2. We need to be driven, by data. That's kind of really where the program, it helps us, look at it and say, okay, from a qualitative standpoint, is the quality of the program great? Is the training good? And then the quantitative, are we serving our industry partners in a lot of different arenas? So the role of the evaluator, per Razi and Chen, is to go beyond just a narrow assessment and improve through social determination, essentially becoming a change agent. And I think that's what we really want to look at in this particular program, is a holistic approach of all the moving parts within the youth apprenticeship program and how we can serve these our stakeholders. Obviously, I always like to put the students at the forefront of what we do, but also we have companies here in the Finger Lakes region that are spending a lot of money and resources to train young men and women and partner with us and send them to us. So we want to help them out as well. With that being said, that concludes assignment 3, and here are my references.